Once upon a time, people came to Las Vegas to celebrate, not to show off. You could dance with strangers, laugh till sunrise, and feel the pulse of a city built on possibility. Today, that heartbeat is fading. The lights still flash, the music still plays, but the magic that made this place famous has been traded for bottle service, influencers, and empty spectacle. What happened to the city that taught America how to let go? Why does partying in Las Vegas now feel like work before the night even begins? And by the end of this countdown, you'll see why partying in Vegas today isn't wild. It's humiliating. 10. When the music had soul. There was a time when music in Las Vegas wasn't about ticket sales or social media clips. It was about energy. You could walk into almost any lounge on the Strip and find a live band that made you forget what time it was. Saxophones cried, drums hit hard, and voices filled the room with something money couldn't buy. You didn't need a wristband or a VIP badge. You just needed to show up. Back then, the city was alive with risk, and the music matched it. Sinatra, Bennett, Ella, even the tribute acts carried that same heartbeat. Performers didn't rely on tracks or timing software. They fed off the crowd. A missed note wasn't a mistake. It was a reminder that you were hearing something real. Today, that sound has been replaced by automation. The lounges have thinned out, and the small stages that once launched legends have gone silent. Casinos discovered that pre-recorded sets and digital DJs are cheaper than live musicians. The personality vanished, replaced by LED walls and timed pyrotechnics. It looks impressive, but feels empty. It's not just nostalgia talking. According to the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, the number of live entertainment acts on the Strip has dropped by more than 40% since 2019, while ticket prices have climbed an average of 32%. Most concerts now are residencies, prepackaged productions that run on the same schedule, the same script, the same backing tracks. It's efficient, it's profitable, but it's not alive. Locals remember when you could wander into the Stardust or the Riviera, hear a trumpet wail, and end up staying till dawn. That spontaneity was the soul of the city. The music wasn't background noise, it was the heartbeat of Vegas itself. Now it's algorithmic. Every club plays the same beat you'd hear in Miami or Ibiza, synced to corporate playlists and sponsorship deals. The DJs are brands, not artists. The singers are screens, not people. Vegas once gave musicians a stage to prove themselves. Now, it gives them a contract to conform. The result is a sound that's louder, brighter, and emptier than ever before. The Strip still claims to be the entertainment capital of the world, but if you close your eyes and listen, the silence between the beats tells the truth. The music had soul, and the city traded it away. 9. When you dressed to impress. Right? There was a time when stepping out in Las Vegas felt like walking onto a stage. You ironed your shirt, polished your shoes, and put on something that said you respected the night ahead. The city had an unspoken code. You dressed up because you wanted to match the magic around you. Back then, the casinos glowed with elegance. Men wore jackets even if they were broke. Women shimmered in gowns that caught the light from the chandeliers. It wasn't about money. It was about mood. You could sit at a nickel slot and still feel like royalty because everyone around you carried themselves like they were part of a grand production. Today, that production has turned into a photo shoot. Vegas nightlife isn't about the experience anymore. It's about the content. Lines outside the clubs move slower because everyone stops for selfies. People walk the Strip holding ring lights instead of cocktails. And what used to be flirtation and fun has become performance and posturing. The change is visible in every photo. Look at archival footage from the 1970s, and you'll see a sea of suits and cocktail dresses. Look at the same spot today, and it's sneakers, crop tops, and designer logos meant for the camera. The average nightclub guest spends more time filming than dancing. According to a 2024 survey from Eventbrite, 68% of millennial and Gen Z clubgoers say they attend nightlife events mainly to create content, not to enjoy them. It's not that people stopped wanting to feel glamorous, it's that glamour was replaced with visibility. You don't go out to be seen by the room. You go out to be seen by your followers. And somewhere along the way, Vegas stopped being a memory you lived and became a feed you curated. Old Vegas had mystery, the lights felt like an invitation. You never knew who might be sitting next to you or what story would unfold after midnight. Now every corner has a hashtag and every outfit is an ad. The art of presentation turned into the pressure of attention. Maybe that's why the old music hit harder, because when you dressed to impress, you were part of something bigger than yourself. Now, when everyone's the main character, the story loses its plot. And just wait until you see what happened when even the price of that image started to rise. When $20 no longer bought a night, but barely covered a napkin. 8. When $20 got you a night, not a napkin. There was a time when $20 in Las Vegas meant freedom. You could grab a steak dinner at midnight, sip a martini that it wasn't measured in ounces, and still have enough left for a cab ride back to your hotel. The city wasn't cheap, but it was generous. It gave you more than what you paid for. That was the deal. Old Vegas understood the psychology of pleasure. You came for the gamble, but you stayed for the feeling that everything was within reach. $5 blackjack tables, $2 shrimp cocktails, free drinks. While you played, it wasn't about luxury. It was about access. You didn't have to be rich to feel rich for a night. Now, $20 gets you a napkin, literally. A cocktail on the Strip averages $18 to $24 before tip, and that's if you skip the souvenir cup. At the Fontainebleau, a single vodka soda can reach $28. Buffets that once ran for $15 now charge $70. The idea of a cheap night out in Vegas has been replaced by payment plans and package deals. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, food and beverage prices in Las Vegas have climbed over 48% since 2015, the fastest growth among major U.S. entertainment cities, and it's not slowing down. The casinos call it premiumization. Guests call it a ripoff. The more expensive the drinks became, the more the vibe changed. Nights that once flowed freely now feel calculated. People check their bank apps between rounds. Locals notice it too. Bartenders talk about the days when tourists tipped like they were sharing good fortune. Now they swipe cards for $30 drinks and walk away empty-handed. The laughter is thinner, the conversation shorter, everything feels transacted. Vegas used to be the one place where you didn't think about money, even if you didn't have any. That was the trick. The illusion that the city was rooting for you to have a good time. But once every part of the night came with a service charge, the illusion cracked. It's no wonder the music feels colder and the crowds look tired. When every sip costs a sigh, fun turns into finance. And yet there was one part of the night that used to make it all worth it. The people behind the bar who made strangers feel like regulars, but that connection too didn't survive the new Vegas. 7. When the bartender knew your name, there was a rhythm to old Las Vegas that didn't come from the slot machines or the shows. It came from the people who stood behind the bar. They weren't just pouring drinks. They were part of the story. You'd walk into a lounge after a long night, and the bartender would nod before you said a word. He already knew your drink, your team, maybe even how your luck had gone that evening. That connection was part of what made Vegas human. It wasn't about bottle service or VIP booths. It was about belonging. You could sit next to a retiree from Cleveland, a dealer from Reno, or a newlywed on their first trip west, and by the end of the night, you'd all be talking like old friends. The bartender wasn't a middleman. He was the glue. Back then, every casino bar had its character. The Golden Nugget had storytellers who could make you laugh until sunrise. The Stardust had charm that felt like family. You went back not because of the drink specials, but because of the people. Today, that intimacy is gone. The bar is a business, and the bartender is an app. QR codes have replaced cocktail menus, self-service kiosks mix your margarita while drone lights sparkle above you in pre-programmed patterns. The show is bigger, but the feeling is smaller. Service has been streamlined into data. Casinos discovered that one robot bartender can pour the same number of drinks as 3 humans with none of the payroll costs. It's efficient, but it erases something essential. The small talk, the inside jokes, the moment when someone remembers you from last night and says, "You're back for another round, huh?" Error 3. Ladra Varaza off a labor report from Unite Here. The hospitality union, representing thousands of Vegas workers, revealed that automation and staffing cuts have reduced face-to-face guest interaction on casino floors by nearly 60% in 5 years. That's not just a statistic. That's a silence where connection used to be. Vegas once sold human magic. The thrill wasn't only in the cards or the lights, but in the people who made the night feel alive. Now, the drink tastes the same, no matter who serves it, because no one really does. And when the faces behind the bar fade away, so do the characters who once made the city unforgettable. And that brings us to the next loss. They stopped attracting personalities and started manufacturing influencers. 6. When there were characters, not influencers. Old Las Vegas was built on people who didn't fit anywhere else. That was its secret power. You'd walk through a casino at 2 a.m. and find the entire spectrum of humanity sitting side by side. The hustler counting chips at the bar, the cab driver on his night off with a drink in hand, the showgirl, the card shark, the dreamer, who believed their luck would change with one more roll of the dice. Everyone had a story, and everyone mattered. The city wasn't curated. It was chaotic, imperfect, alive. You could meet a millionaire who looked broke and a busboy who had the confidence of a king. It didn't matter what you wore or what you posted. It mattered how you played, how you tipped, how you treated people. The Strip was full of characters, each adding to the mosaic that made Vegas feel unpredictable. Now that unpredictability is gone, the characters have been replaced by content creators. Walk into any pool party or casino lounge and you'll see the same scene. Someone setting up a tripod, filming a slow-motion drink pour, cutting a promo for a crypto brand or energy drink. According to a 2024 social media analytics report by Sprout Social, Las Vegas ranks among the top 5 U.S. cities for influencer-generated travel content, yet average in-person engagement inside those same venues has fallen by 37% since 2019. The numbers say it all: more posts, fewer people connecting. The city once drew the adventurous, now it attracts the performative. People come not to live the story, but to record it. The gambler's grin has been replaced by the influencer's lens flare, the hustler's hustle by the promo code. Even spontaneity has been replaced by strategy, a checklist of angles and hashtags designed to look like fun. Locals say it's strange to watch. The characters who built the Strip's mythology didn't care about being liked. They cared about winning, losing, or just surviving another night. They were rough around the edges, and that's what made them fascinating. You could spot them at the bar, in the pit, or wandering Fremont Street with a story ready to spill out after one drink. Vegas used to be about the people who refused to play by the rules. Now it's about the people who follow algorithms. The grit that made glamour possible has been polished out of existence, and once the real characters disappeared, something else followed. Because when the people stop driving the night, even Vegas starts to sleep. 5. When the city slept. Just a little. There was a time when 3 in the morning in Las Vegas felt like the start of something, not the end. The neon still glowed, the dice still rolled, and the air buzzed with the kind of electricity that didn't need advertising. The city never truly slept. It just took short breaths between moments of madness. In those hours, magic happened. You could leave a smoky blackjack table, wander into a diner, and find yourself sitting beside a musician finishing a set or a bride still wearing her veil. The night had a rhythm, unplanned and alive. You didn't need a reservation or a wristband. You just followed the sound of laughter and let the night take you where it wanted. Now that rhythm is gone, the Strip still shines, but it feels tired. Clubs close earlier. Tables stand empty. The city that once prided itself on never stopping has learned how to clock out. The spontaneity that defined Vegas has been replaced by schedules and package deals. The numbers prove it. According to Clark County licensing data, the average operating hours for bars and lounges on the Strip have shortened by nearly 20% since 2018, and late-night dining options have declined by over a third. The pandemic may have accelerated it, but what replaced the chaos was corporate efficiency. Last Call now echoes through rooms that once bragged they didn't have one. It's not that people stopped wanting to stay up all night, it's that the city stopped giving them a reason. You can't feel reckless when every moment is timed, priced, and wrapped in branding. The air that once felt electric now feels exhausted. A looped commercial promising excitement that never arrives. Old Vegas would let the night unravel naturally. Sometimes that meant a jackpot, sometimes it meant heartbreak, but it was yours. It was real. Now as the lights dim a little earlier and the energy fades, you can almost feel the city yearning for the chaos it used to celebrate. And maybe that's because something deeper has changed. Not just the hours, but the atmosphere itself. The scent of mischief has been replaced with something far too clean. 4. When the casinos smelled like cigars, not corporations. There was a time when you could step into a casino and know exactly where you were. By smell alone. A haze of cigar smoke, perfume, and adrenaline mixed in the air like a signature scent. It wasn't pleasant, but it was honest. It smelled like risk. Those old casinos had texture. The carpets were worn, the dealers had stories, and the smoke curled through the lights like a secret. You knew you were in a place that was alive. People were winning, losing, celebrating, swearing, and laughing all at once. Now you step into the same buildings, and it smells like air freshener. Corporate vanilla and citrus mist pumped through vents to mask the scent of real life. The risk has been sanitized. The chaos has been branded. The same fragrances that fill shopping malls now define the Strip. The transition wasn't an accident. After the mid-2010s, casinos began investing heavily in scent marketing, turning their floors into extensions of brand identity. MGM uses a fragrance called Asian Garden. Caesars pumps in lemon verbena. The purpose is to make you comfortable, not excited. Studies show that controlled scents increase gambling time by up to 40%. But they also erase the grit that once made Vegas unique. The old smoke-filled rooms had atmosphere. You could sense the tension at the tables, the pulse of the city in every inhale. It wasn't safe, but that was the point. Vegas was supposed to feel dangerous, a place where anything could happen and probably would. Now the casinos feel like luxury malls with slot machines. The ashtrays are gone, the carpets match the branding palette, and the dealers are trained to smile the same way across every property. You could close your eyes in one resort and open them in another without noticing the difference. Vegas lost its scent, and with it, its soul. The danger was the draw. The unpredictability was the reason to come. When the air smelled like cigars and bad decisions, you knew you were somewhere that didn't play by the rules. Now, it's all policies, partnerships, and pre-approved playlists. The rebellion has been replaced by risk management, and when the city stops smelling like mischief, even the hangovers start to feel scripted. 3. When the hangover was real, not a marketing slogan. There was a time when a wild night in Las Vegas didn't need a movie to define it. You didn't plan it, you survived it. You woke up with a pocket full of poker chips, a phone number on a napkin, and a vague memory of karaoke with strangers who somehow became friends. Those nights were reckless, unfiltered, and gloriously human. They made for stories you'd never tell your boss, but you'd remember forever. That version of Vegas was about freedom. It was the release valve for ordinary life. You came to escape rules, not to pose for them. Nobody cared if your hair was a mess or if you spilled a drink on the floor. You were there to live a little too much, not curate the perfect angle. Now, the hangover isn't real. It's a marketing slogan. The word wild has been trademarked. Resorts run campaigns selling the idea of spontaneity, packaged neatly into influencer packages and sponsored hashtags. What happens here is no longer a secret, it's a business model. Look around the strip and every bar feels like a set. The crazy night out is timed between brand activations. The shots are served in custom logo glasses. Even the mistakes feel staged. According to a 2024 hospitality analytics report from STR, over 60% of Vegas nightlife venues now rely on influencer partnerships and paid content creators to generate buzz, not organic word of mouth. The rebellion has been outsourced. The irony is sharp. Vegas built its reputation on the unpredictable. Now everything from the lighting to the laughter feels pre-programmed. The Hangover movie franchise turned chaos into an exportable brand, and the city embraced it. But what was once mythic became mechanical. You can't sell authenticity and still call it rebellion. Ask anyone who's been coming to Vegas for decades, and they'll tell you the difference. The nights used to blur because they were real. Too many drinks, too many jokes, too many chances taken. You woke up with regret and pride tangled together. That's what made it worth it. Today, people wake up with receipts. The adventure that used to be spontaneous is now transactional. You can book your wild weekend as a curated experience, complete with photo ops and hashtags that ensure every sin fits inside a sponsorship deal. Vegas once promised that what happened here stayed here. Now it's uploaded, captioned, and monetized. And when every wild night becomes an ad, the hangover disappears, along with the memory of what made it fun. But the real heartbreak isn't just that the rebellion was sold. It's that the gamble itself lost its meaning. Because back then, you left with a story, now you leave with a bill. 2. When you left with a memory, not a bill. Leaving Las Vegas used to mean heading home with a story. Maybe you lost a few $100s, maybe you won a few drinks, maybe you met someone whose name you never caught, but whose laugh you'll never forget. You came back tired, a little broke, but alive. That was the deal. The house always won. But the memories were yours to keep. Old Vegas didn't apologize for taking your money because it gave you something back. The shows, the food, the conversations, they made the loss feel worth it. You weren't being scammed. You were part of the game. Now that balance is gone. The city still takes your money, but it no longer gives you the story. You leave with an itemized receipt, not a grin. Resort fees, service charges, convenience add-ons. A vacation that once felt like an escape now feels like an invoice. According to a 2025 report by the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, the average visitor spends $2,160 per trip, up 38% from 2019. While satisfaction scores have fallen to their lowest levels in over a decade, the math doesn't lie. People aren't upset about losing money. They're upset about not getting anything real in return. It's not just the prices, it's the feeling of being managed. The city that once said, "try your luck," now says, "scan your QR code." Every experience has been optimized, tiered, and monetized until there's nothing spontaneous left to enjoy. There's a difference between losing money and being taken for a fool. The old losses came with laughter, the kind you shared with strangers at 3 a.m. Modern losses come with small print disclaimers and digital receipts. The fun has been replaced by friction. Vegas once sent you home broke but smiling, ready to tell a story no one would believe. Now people leave angry, staring at bank apps on the flight home, wondering when exactly the magic disappeared. But the truth is, it's not just the money that's gone missing, it's the people, the real ones, who made Vegas feel like home for a night. 1. When Vegas was about people, not profit. That's the heartbreak. The lights are still bright, the fountains still dance, the music still plays, but the people who gave this city its soul are fading from view. Vegas was never just a place, it was a living conversation. Strangers from everywhere colliding for a moment in the same impossible dream. Dealers who remembered your name, waitresses who slipped you an extra drink because you were losing too fast, performers who gave everything to a half-empty room because that's what pride looked like. Those were the faces that built the legend. Now it's transaction after transaction. Every smile feels scripted. Every gesture has a price. The connection that once made Vegas irresistible has been buried under layers of corporate branding. The Strip has become an ATM with chandeliers. Locals feel it most. The service workers, the musicians, the cocktail servers, the people who once found purpose in making others happy, are now caught in a system that values efficiency over humanity. Automation replaces staff. Loyalty programs replace friendship. The city that built itself on connection has become a business that runs on disconnection. It wasn't always this way. Vegas used to make people from opposite worlds feel like they belonged in the same one, if only for a weekend. You could sit next to a stranger at a slot machine and end up sharing a story that lasted longer than your winnings. That was the real gamble, the risk of feeling something. Now the risk is gone, and with it, the soul. But the memory remains in the minds of those who remember the laughter under the neon, the warmth behind the hustle, the chaos that somehow made sense. If you still chase that feeling, the spark that made the city legendary, you're not crazy. You just remember when Vegas was real. Because the house might still win, but for a while, the people did too. And until that spirit returns, all the lights in the world won't make Vegas shine the same way again.